All right, good morning, class, or whenever you're watching this. Anyway, so what we're going to do for the rest of the school year is we're going to be doing LEAP chapters. Okay, these are LEAP reviews. Now, because I didn't get to teach you all the material, it's going to be brand new material, and I'm going to take it slow. You've each been provided with a study guide, and that study guide you're going to have to go through it with me, and you're going to have to answer the questions on that study guide by yourself because of all the people that are on quarantine right now. So anyway, if you ever have any questions, please feel free to ask me in class. We are starting right here, right after the World War II, okay, in an era called the Cold War. And as you remember, the Cold War basically started at the Yalta Conference when we promised to give Joseph Stalin all the countries that in Eastern Europe that he had already conquered from Hitler and anything he can conquer in Asia by the end of the war. So that's kind of where we're at, right after the war. All right, so our president during this time is President Truman. Okay, he's the one that dropped the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And he has a great challenge at this time. He's got to put back together America. He's got to switch it over from a wartime economy to a peacetime economy all in one go. So the Cold War is a conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union following World War II. Okay? Following World War II, the U.S. and the Soviet Union emerged as the two major superpowers in the world. Part of the reason for this is that World War II had left the other major countries of the world so weak. All right, so one thing you need to note is that we were the only country with the atomic bomb at this moment. Russia didn't have one yet, but they would shortly fix that problem. So what's going on here? Think about the condition of Germany, of Britain, of Italy, of France. They had all been bombed out, especially Britain and France, okay? So because of that, they could not rebuild their economy as quickly. Because the war did not occur on American soil, that means that our infrastructure, our bridges, our roads, our factories had not been destroyed. And that left us and the Soviet Union as the two superpowers of the world. So, number one, okay, look at your study guide with me, okay? What was the primary reason for the United States and the Soviet, the United States and the Soviet Union emerged as the two global superpowers following World War II? All right? So read your options there. A, the Yalta Conference designated them as the leaders of the world. Not really. Only those nations held the secrets of nuclear weaponry at the end of the war. Only America held that secret at the end of the war. Those two nations reaped the greatest benefit from the Marshall Plan. We haven't discussed the Marshall Plan yet, but I will go into detail with that. The other nations of great power were severely weakened through the course of the war. All of the answers on your study guide, okay, they're in there. So let's go back up and look. Look right here. It's even in bold. I put it in bold for you. World War II had left the other major countries of the world so weak. So even if you can't watch my videos for some reason, like internet access or anything like that, you do have a hard copy of this and you can go through and answer these questions by yourself. Now, for this chapter, we have, let's see how many questions. We have 58 questions for this chapter. I am giving you all 58 questions. On the test, I'm going to pick 30. Y'all know how this works, okay? There are no vocabulary for these chapters. So there's 30 multiple choice questions and you will have all the answers. All right, so let's move on. Continue on to the next piece. Okay, both the Soviets and America had the atomic bomb later on, which intensified the ideological conflict between the capitalists and the communists. So they begin to develop this idea of three worlds within the world, okay? So the first world is the capitalists. These are the ones in green up here, okay? That's America, Britain. America's the leader of it, pretty much. The second world is the communist world. And by the way, guess who came up with this system? You know, since we're calling ourselves first world, it's us, okay? We're the ones that came up with this. So the second world, led by Russia, that is the communist sector. The third world are the underdeveloped and undeveloped countries of the world that were neutral. And the whole Cold War is either the first or second world trying to influence and add to their power from the third world. Okay? Later on, India is going to declare itself the leader of the third world, which kind of doesn't make any sense because that's like saying that they're the leaders of the undecided countries. Which, anyway. All right, so taking a look at it, you're going to be responsible for knowing which countries are in which world. Now, let's be honest, y'all. I am not going to ask you what world Zimbabwe's in, okay? If it's first, second, or third. But the United States, you should know that's first world. You should know the Soviet Union and China, that's second world. You should probably know that, all of Africa and India especially, that's third world, South America. All the red countries have something in common, okay? Like I said, they're underdeveloped or undeveloped. These are the countries that were at one time imperial possessions of the Europeans and the Americans. These are the countries that people took over and made slaves out of them because they were technologically inferior and couldn't fight back. So it's the same map as it used to be, except for now Russia has split off with China. All right, although the two countries never fought directly, that's us and the Soviets, they did fight each other's allies, okay? These are called proxy wars. So a proxy war means we can't fight Russia directly, so we're going to go after North Korea and we're going to fight them instead. Because a fight with Russia would end really badly after we both have the atomic bomb. So we fought proxy wars for 45 years in the case of the Cold War. They call it the Cold War because we never actually launched missiles at each other. We never actually fought each other. But it's spies, it's proxy wars, it's secret things like that. But anyway, all right. This is the part of the reason why it's called the Cold War. The U.S. policy was to stop the expansion of communism by surrounding the Soviets with Western allied powers. Okay, so stop the expansion or the spread of communism. That is our main foreign policy at this time. If we let communism spread, communism will take over the entire world, and we will be the last ones to fall. Okay, that's something later on we're going to learn about. It's called the domino principle. But stopping the spread of communism is called containment. You need to know that word. You are containing the spread. You will be sick of hearing the word containment. That is our national policy at this time towards communism. The Iron Curtain, okay, a phrase coined by Winston Churchill to describe the line between communist and free nations in Europe. Communist-controlled Eastern Europe consisted of East Germany, Poland, Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria, Romania, and Hungary. Okay? And I got a little map for you. Here we go. All right, so this is Russia. Okay? These are the countries, the Eastern Slavic countries that Stalin got at Yalta. Stalin holds on to them because now he views these countries, these Slavic countries, as a shield against Western influence. So in other words, if the West wants to attack Russia, they've got to go through Czechoslovakia and East Germany, Poland and Hungary and all these other countries. It's a shield for him. That's all it is. And he also uses it as a kind of like a slave labor type deal. He's going to exploit the resources in these countries and have cheap labor coming from these shield countries. Okay? Those are called the Eastern Bloc countries. Okay? These countries right here. Stalin's shield. That's what he got at Yalta. You need to remember that. All right. Following World War II, where was the largest concentration of communist countries located? Well, these are all communists, so what would the answer be? Eastern Europe, Oceania, which is the islands in the Pacific, some of the islands. Nice. Okay. Time for a new computer. All right, we'll pick up there in a minute.